Did they know what caused all those clots?
They haven't actually found out yet. A factor of it was just the contraceptive pill. The thing is, if you read the little dockets that come in medication packets and stuff that no one reads
Yeah.
because it's very small writing, it's actually in there that a side effect could be blood clots, but I wasn't told that. Like, my doctor didn't say anything when I was prescribed it either. So it is kind of I guess not normal, but it does happen. It's just that people aren't told that it could be a potential side effect when they're prescribed the pill.
This is the Recovery After Stroke podcast with Bill Gassiamis, helping you navigate recovery after stroke.
Bill from recoveryafterstroke.com. This is episode 118, and my guest today is Priya Sharma. Although Priya doesn't have all the answers about what may have caused her to have an ischemic stroke at age 24, she does suspect that the contraceptive pill she was prescribed by her GP to treat a skin condition may have played a role. Now, before we get started, if you have ever wondered what else I can do to help you with your stroke recovery, you should know that you can now get recovery after stroke coaching right from the comfort of your own home. I too am a 3 times stroke survivor and a brain surgery survivor, and I have built for you what I was missing when I was sent home from hospital, in the hope that you don't have to do stroke recovery as tough as I did. Support packages give you access to a variety of tools 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that you can also work on other areas of stroke recovery that you don't get the chance to at physical therapy or rehabilitation. With tailored support available for less than $8.50 per week, all Recovery After Stroke support packages bring stroke recovery to you in the comfort of your own home. To try out Recovery After Stroke support and see if it's right for you, you will get the first 7 days free, as well as a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. As a bonus, you will also get 2 face-to-face Zoom support calls with myself to help take your recovery to the next level. Go to recoveryafterstroke.com/support to sign up. It won't cost you anything for the first 7 days, and you will get a full refund if you are not happy after 30 days. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And now it's on with the show. Priya Sharma, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Hey, lovely to meet you. We've known each other for a little while on social media,
Yeah.
and you do some work. You do some volunteering for the Stroke Foundation, which I also do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So as much as I can, I guess I've got 2 jobs at the moment and I'm studying as well. So it's sort of whatever time I can get.
Tell me a little bit about what happened to you.
So I had my stroke in July 2015. Um, I had gastronitis the week before, so I was already off work. It was more, I didn't really have any of the signs. And of course, I didn't expect a stroke at 24. So I was pretty weak already and kind of not eating and stuff. So I got taken to the hospital. And then it was in the emergency department while we were waiting. They sort of wheeled me to get some blood tests, and I started having a seizure. So that's when they took me up to ICU, and I had like MRIs and CT scans, which is how they found quite a few clots in my brain, which obviously caused the stroke. And then I was transferred to a different hospital, just that had kind of a better stroke team and everything. And then just during my stay there, they found kind of more clots. So I had 2 thrombectomies, and I think that's when they were taking the clots out of my brain, it must have traveled. So they later found clots in my legs and my lungs as well.
Wow. Did they know what caused all those clots?
They haven't actually found out yet. A factor of it was just the contraceptive pill, but they don't know the full cause yet. And I'm still on blood thinners, so they can't, like, they've ruled out blood disorders and everything. They tested me for all that and genetics and everything. And it was none of that. So it's still like a mystery.
It's interesting that you said the contraceptive pill maybe,
Yeah,
because you're not the only person who I've interviewed who said that they think that the contraceptive pill may have something to do with it. And it's still kind of this thing where maybe it has something to do with it and they don't really know. So that
it does. The thing is, if you read the, the little dockets that come in medication packets and stuff that no one reads
yeah.
because it's very small writing, it's actually in there that a side effect could be blood clots. But I wasn't told that. Like, my doctor didn't say anything when I was prescribed it either. So it is kind of I guess not normal, but it does happen. It's just that people aren't told that it could be a potential side effect when they're prescribed the pill.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you had known that, if you had, now, I know you were 24, so let's just pretend that you were aware of the issue of stroke as a side effect of taking the contraceptive pill. Do you think you would have taken that seriously, that you could have a stroke, or do you think you maybe would have ignored it and taken the medication anyway?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm kind of on the fence about that because I was only taking it for my skin. So to me, it wouldn't have mattered if I didn't take it or not.
Right.
But then I guess back then I didn't think a stroke could happen to someone so young. And it's only since I've had it that I've met so many people around my age with similar stories. So
Wow.
it's because young stroke isn't publicized. So what you see in the media is just that it happens to like elderly people.
So this is the thing about the contraceptive pill. A lot of people think that it's taken just for contraception purposes, but I
Yeah,
know lots of people who have taken it for many other reasons that are not related to uh,
contraception.
to contraception and babies and intercourse.
Yeah,
And it's just crazy that this pill is so widely used for so many things and it interferes with the body in so many ways. And it's still considered to be okay to prescribe to people, even though it says it on the paperwork that you
that's the
can
thing.
have a stroke.
And I think the particular one that I was prescribed has actually got a higher risk of clots than all the other ones. And I think there's actually, I don't know if it's still around, but a local MP, I can't remember what state he's from, but his daughter had the same problems and he created a petition to get it banned because it's kind of only that particular one that was more dangerous than the others, like had a higher risk, but no one's told that when they go to their doctor or their doctor prescribes it.
So you haven't had that conversation with your doctor prior to taking the medication. Did you have a conversation like that with your doctor after?
No, because I changed doctors after. And that wasn't the reason why I changed doctors, but I've got a different doctor now and I feel like he's a bit more like he listens and he's more understanding as well. So basically the reason I changed doctors was because obviously when I came out of hospital, the nurses were like, make sure you've just got a doctor who will see you kind of straight away and you won't have to wait too long, especially I guess at that stage. Like, I guess you would know you get tired easily and all that. So we kind of went to this doctor twice and both times I was waiting over an hour to see her.
Right.
So that's when we kind of changed doctors. Obviously I'm never allowed to take it again. And I was only on it for, I think, 3 months before
Wow.
my stroke. So that's kind of the more shocking bit, is that it only took that amount of time
Yeah,
as well
to cause a
to
real
cause
big
such a
health
big,
scare.
yeah.
So how has life changed now that you're recovering from the blood clots and the strokes that they caused?
I guess like my story is not too, I guess, not much the same as everyone else. I pretty much physically recovered when I got out of rehab. So I guess the main things for me are just kind of when I'm like walking long distances, I've still got kind of soft muscles. So I guess that's the main thing. And then I just had anxiety since then. And I think those are the main things for me.
And the anxiety, what do you think that's in relation to? Is it something you're concerned that something terrible might happen, or what brings that on? Do you know?
Well, yeah, that's probably a point, because we don't know the cause yet. I guess my kind of thoughts are like, I don't know what sort of things to avoid
Right.
or not do, to bring on, I guess, because of everything I went through, I'm at a much higher risk now of having a second one.
Right.
So I guess, yeah, that's probably one of the main things.
So you're kind of thinking in the background that maybe there's something going on, and maybe I'll have another one.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's everyone's everyone's scared of that. I think for me, it's just not knowing the cause. Every year I go see my hematologist and they still haven't figured it out. So it's just, I guess, in the back of my head.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to just have answers
Yeah.
as well.
A little bit of the unknown. It can be a
Yeah,
drama. I know a lot of stroke survivors do talk about their thought, the concern that there might be another one around the corner or something like that.
yeah,
Um, but a lot of them, as a result of that, take some dramatic steps to change the way that they live their life. You know, the things that they do. For example, you know, if they drank or smoked, they might stop smoking and drinking, and they might change their diet. Have you done some things like that to sort of support your health?
well, no, because I was already like that. Before my stroke, I was going to the gym 5 times a week.
All
I
right.
was eating healthy, like I drink more than enough water. So it's not really a change for me. And I think that's probably what helped me recover really well as well.
You were quite fit.
So yeah, that hasn't really been a change. And I guess aside from the basic things that you learn, or that you know can reduce your risk, I've still got that unknown of thing of not knowing the cause and not knowing, like not being able to exactly pinpoint what I can avoid or do different.
Yeah. I think you're on the right track, though. It sounds like you're doing all the right things anyway.
Yeah,
And your most serious risk of stroke, I think, but I don't know you, and from our conversation, it sounds like it's been already taken out of the picture. So
yeah.
you're not doing that now. You know, you're not taking that medication, so it's not likely.
That's the thing though, that was only a kind of small factor. They did say there's no way it can be the full cause.
Yeah.
So I guess yeah, trying to pinpoint it would be great, and have answers, but I guess like doctors can only do so much as well.
Yeah. So you were 24. What were you in the middle of? Were you doing studies? Were you working? What were you up to?
I was working full time at the time. So I was working for Serco, so like Transport Info in New South Wales. Um, but then I was sick that whole week, so I was at home anyway. they're not sure when I had the stroke because I had it before I got into the hospital as well.
Do you think you went to work unwell?
Um, well, I don't know, possibly because I guess with the amount of blood clots I had, it could be possible. But yeah, I'm really not sure. I don't, even the first few days of me being in ICU, I don't have much recollection. I was pretty out of it,
Yeah.
which I'm sure most people are at that point.
It's pretty common after the stroke. Most people are out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so you were in hospital for how long?
So I was in hospital for 3.5 weeks. I was then in inpatient rehab for 2 weeks, and then I was in outpatient rehab for 4 weeks, but sort of only twice a week.
When you were in rehab, what was it that you needed to get back or overcome?
So the main thing was walking, and definitely walking up and down stairs because we have a 2-story house. And I guess just my speech was quite slow compared to what it was before. And then just basic things like learning how to use a fork and knife again to eat. Um, and then just the physio, like, and that goes with the walking, I guess. Just getting my strength back and walking without losing my balance all the time. And then, yeah, I think those are the main things. I had a bit of occupational therapy as well, but that was more so like we had a thing where we had to show them that we could make a meal ourselves because, and I'm sure you went through that as well.
And I was so annoyed because they were making me make my own meals and my hand wasn't working properly.
Yeah.
I was thinking, why are they making us cook our own meals?
If you've had a stroke and you're in recovery, you'll know what a scary and confusing time it can be. You're likely to have a lot of questions going through your mind. Like, how long will it take to recover? Will I actually recover? What things should I avoid in case I make matters worse? Doctors will explain things, but obviously you've never had a stroke before. You probably don't know what questions to ask. If this is you, you may be missing out on doing things that could help speed up your recovery. If you're finding yourself in that situation, stop worrying and head to recoveryafterstroke.com, where you can download a guide that will help you. It's called 7 Questions to Ask Your Doctor About Your Stroke. These 7 questions are the ones Bill wished he'd asked when he was recovering from a stroke. They'll not only help you better understand your condition, they'll help you take a more active role in your recovery. Head to the website now, recoveryafterstroke.com, and download the guide. It's free.
Yeah, so I think that was just a way for them to make sure that if you were alone in your house, you could at least make yourself food.
Yeah.
Even if it was like just a piece of toast.
I did ask them that and then they explained it to me and then I understood why
Yeah.
they were doing that to us and they weren't being nasty or lazy. So how long did it take you to get back to work?
So I had 5 months off. So I guess 3 months if you take out like the hospital and rehab part of it. And then, yeah, I just had the 3 months off and then, yeah, I went back gradually. So I started off with like 2 days a week, 4 hours, and then I just kept building up from that. I was pretty lucky with my workplace. They were all like, my contract manager was quite supportive, and when I asked her, like, I said I have to come back gradually because that's obviously what my doctor had said. They were very accommodating with that.
When you got back to work, was fatigue an issue, sitting in front of a screen and trying to do your work during the day?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I did ask my neurosurgeon about this, and did say sometimes it doesn't go away at all. I don't know if you still experience fatigue,
Sometimes.
but yeah, I definitely have some times where I get fatigued a lot. And I guess that's the difference. Trying to explain it to other people is hard because fatigue is different from neurofatigue.
Mm,
It's not just, I guess, tiredness.
right. That's actually a really interesting point because neurofatigue is something completely different. I've not
Yeah.
experienced up until my surgery and brain hemorrhages. I never experienced neurofatigue before, but I did experience fatigue, and that was really hard. But usually it came from doing too much work or hard
Yeah.
days work or putting in too much effort somewhere. But neurofatigue is just there, and it's not physical fatigue, isn't it? It's just got nothing
It's,
to do with that.
yeah, it's not always physical, like it's just like I guess mental fatigue as well. I guess just wanting to switch off and
Mm.
like not being able to concentrate and things like that.
So did that affect you at work and the amount of time that it took you to get back to, quote unquote normal?
Um, yes, I would say so. However, I guess because my recovery was quite done quite well, and I like recovered pretty quickly. I think so. I went back to work in November 2015, and then by I think July 2016, I was back at full-time work.
Yeah, okay. But
So for me, it didn't take too long. It was just sort of, I guess, liaising with my doctor and making sure I was okay to increase my hours every so often.
were you living at home during that time when you were unwell?
Yeah,
With mum and dad is what I meant.
yeah. Yeah, I'm living with mum and dad, and I guess that was the good thing as well, because if I wasn't, I'd have been alone at that point.
Yeah.
And I guess because I didn't know I had the stroke, it's good because I got treatment quickly, whereas if I was alone, I wouldn't have known, and it might be very different.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you missed out on during that recovery time when you were kind of out of it and you weren't walking properly? Was there people that you couldn't catch up with? What types of issues did you have to face?
Not really. So kind of my friends that I'm the kind of person that will keep like, I'll have a close group of friends, and I'm kind of more so now, I'm very, very picky about who I sort of hang out with or who I invite out to dinners and stuff. But so my friends at that point, obviously I'm still friends with them, but they kind of more accommodated me as well. So obviously my mum was pretty worried about me going out to the city or like being by myself and stuff. Because this was only a few months after, but they were pretty good. Like they'd come meet me at the station or something, so I wouldn't be alone. So that didn't really change much. I've always kind of been that person though, that I'm quite picky and like I don't go out a lot either. So
So it was kind of business as usual, not too much
yeah,
changed.
yeah, not too much changed. I guess kind of the main thing would have been just work, just increasing my hours, just trying not to let the fatigue affect me too much, because like you said earlier, staring at a screen for so long a day does give you the mental fatigue as well.
Yeah. Were you a driver?
No,
So you didn't miss out on driving and learning how to drive again. That wasn't an issue.
no, that hasn't been an issue for me. No.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Most people have a real big disruption to their life
Yeah.
after stroke because I'm not sure, I'm not sure why, because maybe because they do so much and they cram so many things into their day and they have to play so many roles, pick up kids, drop off, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So although it was quite a difficult time for you, it caused some disruption for sure.
Yeah.
It didn't really change the way that you went about your life for a long period of time.
No, not really. And I suppose, like you mentioned, like I don't have kids. I don't have I don't have dependents. So I don't have that in my life that would be disrupted. And yeah, don't drive anyway because I don't feel the need to,
Wasn't necessary.
really. So especially now, I guess that we're all working from home. So
Yeah, you did well there. So tell me about it. Did it motivate you in different ways though? It seems like you're potentially doing things that you haven't done before. Was the kind of work that you do for the Stroke Foundation, which is presenting stroke safe talks. Had
yeah.
you done anything like that before? Had you ever considered volunteering or anything like that?
No, I'd actually never heard of the Stroke Foundation until I did my own research afterwards. I joined a couple of like stroke survivor groups, and I do see a lot of obviously questions for like, has anyone had this kind of stroke, and like, how was your recovery and things like that. So I guess yes, in a way it did, because I'm getting my story out there as well and letting people know that stroke can happen at any age. I've had quite a few people message me on social media just being like, your story is so inspiring, and just asking more questions and stuff. And then, yeah, with, like I mentioned earlier, with my muscle weakness, it's kind of does motivate me to do more. Like this year was 5 years for me, so I did the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb, which I probably would have never done because I'm terrified of heights.
Yeah.
But I was like, that there'll be a good kind of celebration. My friend suggested it as well, and he's like, you'll be at the like highest point in Sydney. Like, what else would you want to do? Like, that's an amazing celebration, because I'm one of those ones that celebrate each year, because I look at it like I survived this major thing that I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something to celebrate.
Yeah.
Tell me, at the top of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, how long does it take to get there?
Um, Probably about just over an hour,
Wow.
because the whole climb is 3.5 hours. But that being said, we do stop a lot along the way to hear like the history and stuff of the bridge and the area around it. So it's not like a continuous walk. Um, so I'd probably say even less than that if we didn't stop along the way.
That's quite a few steps up, I would imagine. And
Yeah.
you can see a 360-degree view of Sydney Harbour. I mean, was it a good day that you went out there? Was the sun out?
So I did the sunset climb, and we had an amazing sunset, which was really nice. I do have some photos on my Instagram as well of it.
Wow. Yeah,
Really lucky.
I'll have a look at those and maybe we can post some as well, and have a look at them. Now, your Instagram is Stroke of Inspiration. Is that right?
My stroke of inspiration.
Why was stroke an inspiration to you?
I think it's more because I use the platform to share my story and stuff. And obviously a lot of people saying it's an inspiring story and stuff, and I'm like, it makes sense, and it's a different name. I don't like using my like full name or just my name on my social media handles.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just
fair enough. It's a great name.
yeah.
It really makes people pay attention, especially with regards to, something from stroke becoming inspiring to other people. That's a great thing.
And I think it's brought up a lot of conversations as well. Like when I tell people my handle, it sort of gets a conversation going as to like why you have that name. And then I tell them and I share my story as well. So I guess it is, in a way, getting the story out there a bit more as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Why not? I like that. It creates a conversation without really meaning to,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
raising awareness and telling people of something that's serious that maybe will help somebody at some point in time.
Yeah, definitely. I've had, I think there's been a couple of people that have reached out because most people have like an AVM or something like that that have caused their stroke. And I think my story is a bit unique.
Mm.
And I've had a few people reach out to me being like, I've never met anyone with a similar story to mine as well. So I guess in that way it's good as well, because other people are finding someone that's had a similar story to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best things that happened to me is I found people that were, I suppose they were like me, and then they understood me. They got what I was saying. They understood what fatigue meant, when we talk about fatigue,
Yeah,
and it made a huge difference to the way that I was feeling. And then it allowed me to have conversations with that person that I wasn't able to have with anybody else.
that's exactly right. Like I was saying this the other day to someone, as much as I guess our other friends and family try to understand, they just won't because they haven't been through a similar situation. Whereas I guess the people I've met since, they obviously have similar stories, or they've been through the same thing, just a different situation. So they know exactly like what you're talking about.
Yeah. Probably about 18 interviews ago, I interviewed a lady called Kelly, and she had an ischemic stroke as well, and she was 32. And
Yeah,
one of the things that she said, which was similar to you, was that she was also taking the
the
the pill,
pill. Yeah,
and then after the stroke, again, she became aware of the fact that there's a possible side effect which causes stroke for some people and blood clots for some people. And she was a bit shocked and surprised as well. And she hadn't really come across anybody else that had been in that situation. So
yeah.
it is uncommon for sure that people experience stroke, but it sounds like there's still too many of them out there that experience stroke because of potentially a
Yeah.
medication that they're taking.
And I guess just going back to what I was saying before, it's more because it's not publicized.
Yeah.
I'm finding more information about stroke now than I ever would have like 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah. I
So
think
there's a lot more information out there now for people, but I also think doctors should be going through that with you if they're prescribing you a medication.
absolutely they should. They should be telling you, I'm going to prescribe you this medication. This is what it's for, and have the conversation with you so that you're informed and you can make a decision at the time whether you want to take that risk or not.
Exactly.
If you don't, what's the alternative? Can they present another version or some other alternative instead of just going for the one that might cause another health issue? Because what we're trying to do is fix a health issue, not create
Yeah.
more health.
Not create another one. Exactly. And like, I guess it's going to, if it was someone quite young, like say 17, 18, they wouldn't, I guess like me, they wouldn't think that a stroke could happen to them, and they wouldn't research it. They would just say, oh, like, I need this, can you prescribe it to me? And the doctors just do it.
Yeah. It's
That's,
pretty sad.
yeah.
I think there's a couple of things that we need to work towards fixing with the way that doctors become informed about the kind of medication that they should be prescribing, and then the duty of care to go out of their way to explain what they're actually giving that person to swallow.
And I think also like triage nurses in hospital. So when I went in, it was a Saturday night. I was 24 years old. I wasn't able to walk. I couldn't talk properly. So they probably just thought like I had taken something or I was drunk. And then they're like, it's going to be like a 2.5 hour wait to see someone.
Wow.
And then obviously we waited. But if it hadn't been for me having that seizure, then we would have just waited for the 2.5 hours. And like, you know how quickly you need treatment after a stroke.
Yeah.
So
Minutes count. And
yeah,
you sit on the table, on a chair outside of triage at a hospital. It's the craziest thing. But it is true that they do generally they do a good job, but sometimes the wrong person at the wrong time of
yeah, exactly.
too much pressure, and maybe before you, maybe 5 or 6 other people that came in drunk or on drugs.
Well, I think it was also quite busy that night as well. So I definitely understand that, but it's just, I guess a bit of education is probably needed as well.
And maybe some
Just across the
questions of
board.
the people that you're with. Has she taken anything? Is she drunk? Has she
Yeah,
done anything?
exactly. Like if they'd done that, they would know I was home. Like I couldn't even get out of bed.
Yeah.
But I guess, like you said, unless they ask that, they won't know. So that's why I say it was lucky I had the seizure. Like, not that it's lucky I had one in the first place, but that's what led them to find the clots and everything. And then I got started on a heparin drip straight away, which obviously would not have happened if I didn't have that seizure.
Yeah. That's nuts. Are you the kind of person who did the whole thing at the beginning? Did you consider your mortality all of a sudden? Did you start thinking about, oh my God, I might not be here next week or in a month? Or has that played on your mind at all?
Not really, because I think I always have that kind of mentality. That can be for anyone, whether you've been through health issues or not.
Yeah.
Like you could, uh, don't want to be too morbid, but you could drop dead at any moment,
Fair
no
enough.
matter who you are. So that, I guess that's always been a mentality. And that's why I guess, especially now, I more so do the things like the bridge climb. I'm doing a hike with the Stroke Foundation next year as well. So yeah, no,
So what you're saying is that you were the kind of person that lived in the moment,
yeah,
understanding that life's to be lived and perhaps it may be short. So similar mentality is what
definitely.
you're going forward with now, and it was just who you were before anyway.
Yeah, it was. And like I've lost a cousin at 17 years old. So I guess that's kind of
Right.
what started that kind of mentality. Like I obviously firsthand, I know life can be really short.
Mm.
Um, and you don't have to have health issues for that to be a true statement.
Yeah. Were you 17 at the time, or was it your cousin that was 17?
I was 17, he was 16.
Yeah, so close in age. So
Yeah.
that would have been a big wake up call.
Yeah, and yeah, that's what probably started that mentality. So it hasn't really come about after I had my stroke. It's always been there.
So you're pretty positive kind of person.
Yeah, and I think that's what my nurses were saying, that they think that's what helped me as well. And I guess that's true. Your mindset does help you or break you.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people get stuck in a negative mindset, and a negative mindset won't help growth occur.
Yeah,
But a positive mindset isn't going to make anything worse. It's going to
exactly.
encourage you to be curious and to find, new ways of looking at things, and potentially finding new ways to overcome some of the challenges that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, the positivity was something they said would have helped me a lot, because I did see a lot of people. Obviously, in the ward I was in was shared with 3 other people. So I guess looking from the outside, you would have seen such a difference with me as opposed to the other members in the ward. Obviously, they were older as well. So, and I don't know their lifestyles or anything like that. But if you'd come in, you would have seen, I guess, the difference.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had um, older people in my ward as well, and in the beds next to me in the public hospital. They were not getting up and about. They weren't doing much.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I was up and about. I was walking after the first time, not the second time, and not the third time, but
Yeah,
I was walking after the first time. So it was this really weird experience to be in a hospital in a stroke ward where I'm supposed to be really sick, but I don't look it to anybody and don't feel it other than numbness on my left side. So that was
yeah, definitely.
bizarre.
I was mm, this lady I was talking to the other day was actually saying that because she has no physical disabilities or anything, so like sometimes she just feels like a kind of a fraud calling herself like a stroke survivor. And I'm like, it's not always physical though.
Yeah.
And I guess this is all disabilities though. People don't know it's there unless they can physically see it.
Yeah. It's the biggest issue that we have with mental health
Yeah,
issues across the planet, not just in Australia, but also then with people who recover from stroke and may have a limp or an arm that's not extending fully.
yeah,
Even people like that find it difficult to explain to other people how the neurological fatigue is a problem for them, even though we can see some kind of sign that they've had a stroke in the past or they've experienced a
yeah,
stroke. I was pretty dumb like that. Like I didn't understand before I was unwell that somebody in a wheelchair, for example, um, was doing it tough in many other ways. They weren't just sitting in a wheelchair.
yeah.
They had
It's
all these
because
other issues.
once you've gone through and experienced something like that, I think everyone's kind of like that as well. Unless you've experienced it yourself or you've, like, a close friend or family member has experienced it, you don't understand it. And I feel like that as well. Like I can walk, I can talk, I can use my arms, everything's functional. So when you look at me, you don't know that I've had a stroke unless you've obviously read my blogs and my social media.
That would confuse a few people and shock them as well, wouldn't it? Because they'd look at you and go, "Well, you don't look like you've had a stroke. What do you mean you've had a stroke? Like, what's all that
Yeah.
about?"
Or you're too young, or
Yeah.
like those kind of comments. Yeah, definitely. I've gotten those. I've gotten a couple of negative comments as well because I was doing so well after my stroke.
Oh,
So
how come that's a negative thing? How come somebody would say something negative about that?
So I, about a year after, so just before I went back to full-time at work, my doctor cleared me to go back to the gym. So I was going to a strength gym at that time. So I was lifting like pretty heavy weights and stuff. And my PT was a neuroscience, he worked in a lot of neuro wards as well. So he was also a physio, so a neurophysio as well. So that was kind of good for me as well because I had someone training me that knew what I had been through. So I kind of was posting some videos on a stroke survivor group that I was on at that time. And I guess people are just kind of upset at themselves that they're not, if people don't work on their recovery or they're not, because no one's exactly the same. So my recovery is not going to be the same as yours. And if I'm cleared to go lift weights and do that kind of stuff, then I'll do it. Like, I'm the kind of person that will always listen to my doctors. I won't, like, I'm not, so my doctor said I can't go like skydiving or anything because of the pressure to your head. I'm not going to be the person that then will go skydiving. Like,
Prove them wrong.
yeah. So I just got a lot of comments like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. It's only been like 10 months after your stroke, blah, blah, blah. And like, when you have another stroke, then don't come crawling back to us. And I'm like,
Wow.
there should be a group to like motivate each other. Like, majority of the comments I got were like, well done, congratulations, and all that. But then it's always, I guess, the negative ones that do stand out, and they were quite negative, like quite rude as well. And I'm like, look, I'm listening to my doctor. If he said I can do this, then I'm going to do it. I'm not going to listen to someone that doesn't know my story. And then I had this one saying, oh, not all strokes are the same. You can't say like you're doing this only like 10 months after. And then I kind of went on to list every single thing that happened while I was in hospital. And then I didn't hear anything after that.
Yeah, it sounds like those people were those kind of people before stroke anyway. It sounds like
Yeah, and
everything was a competition for them. And
exactly. And it shouldn't be. Like, everyone, like I said, everyone's recovery is different. And especially with a stroke, you should be lifting people up. You shouldn't be like saying stuff like that because you, like you said, you never know what else is going on for someone.
yeah, it's nuts that somebody would compare themselves to you and then complain about what you're doing and that you shouldn't tell people to get back on to their lives or with their lives
Yeah,
if they can. It's not like it's the rules are not for everybody. They don't have to do what you did.
yeah,
They just have to be happy that you can do it. That's all.
yeah, exactly. And I would be like, if it was someone else, I'd be like, that's great. You don't go and sort of tear people down after something like this as well. But then a few people privately message me, and they're just like, just ignore it, which I do anyway. But they're probably just unhappy in their own sort of recovery and stuff like that,
Yeah,
which makes sense.
they would be unhappy somewhere, and stroke makes things worse. It doesn't make
Yeah,
things better.
exactly.
So if you've got a bad relationship or if you've had some trouble in the past, stroke doesn't come in and make it all better. It makes it worse.
It does, yeah.
And therefore, it might highlight some of the issues that people have in their lives and therefore make them act out and choose to get offended where it's not a place to get offended. That's not somewhere where you need to take offense that somebody's perhaps doing well.
Yeah,
And I think what it should do is those people should pay attention to why they're getting offended with somebody posting that they've achieved something amazing after their stroke. I mean, that's where the lesson is for them more than anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Not everyone's going to be the same. Like everyone, even looking back to the ward I was in, like you said, everyone's so different.
Mm. And it's just pure luck that the blood clot went into that part of your brain, that it didn't go into just, one other part, one
Yeah.
artery over the left or to the right or to the front or to the back. It's just pure luck that my brain hemorrhage happened where it happened, and therefore I can be mostly active and out and about and do all those
Yeah.
things and very rarely suffer from any dramatic problems. And I often think about like how close it came to just being worse somewhere else. And the timing was on my side, and the people I was with at the times that it happened was on my side. Like everything that could go right during a really, really bad time went right.
Yeah, I guess that's how I look at it as well. Like obviously it was multiple clots in my brain, and then I had the clots in my legs and my lungs. And obviously the lungs can be deadly
Yeah.
as well. So my doctors were actually quite surprised that I had no chest pain. I could breathe properly, like there was no other signs. And I guess just luck that I got there in time, because my surgeons did say if you had waited any longer, you wouldn't be here today.
Unbelievable. So did you go into surgery and they retrieved a lot of those clots or some of them?
Yeah, so I had 2 clot retrievals. So they did the first one about 2 day on the Monday, because I got in on Saturday, and then they transferred me overnight to a different hospital. Then they did it first thing on Monday, and then they did another scan and they saw there was still quite a lot. So they did a second one on the Wednesday, and got pretty much all of it out.
Wow, that
So
is.
I was actually discharged from my neuro last year because it's all clear, which is great.
Okay. So until last year, you were going in doing new scans and they were just checking everything out.
Yeah, just sort of every year. My scans were always clear though. It was more they were wanting to make sure and everything. So I still see my hematologist once a year as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the hematologist is just a checkup, confirm that everything's going okay, that you're still taking the
Yeah,
blood
so
thinner
he's
medication.
basically he manages my blood thinners. So um and he just kind of checks to see if like my legs are swelling and stuff like that, to see if anything's come back. So it's more just a making sure everything's okay. Um, Honestly, I think I'll be on the blood thinners for a while, so I'll probably be seeing him for like the next few years, just because he's like, you had so many problems, we don't want to take you off them and then you have the same issues again.
Yeah. So steady as she goes, and let's just
Yeah,
focus on paying attention to what changes occur in your body, if any,
yeah,
and
exactly.
then address things rather than being kind of blasé about it because
Dismissive,
it's a
yeah.
bit too serious.
I have heard a lot of stories like that where the doctors have been just so like just dismissive, or they don't listen, and it just makes me feel lucky to have the specialists and the doctors that I do.
Yeah. I think it's important for people, if they're not happy with their doctors as well, to
Yeah,
find another doctor, like get rid of that doctor, sack that doctor, so to speak.
just yeah, change. Like there's no issue in changing doctors.
Yeah, they just take the record from the previous doctor and
Exactly,
they
just
move on.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So you're a pretty positive person. You have had a miraculous recovery. It has been an absolute miracle that you didn't have any lung issues, any brain issues ongoing, and all those dramas ongoing, apart from a couple of little things that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
What has, I know this is a loaded question, like has stroke taught you anything? Like what has it taught you? What have you got out of this whole experience other than the obvious?
I guess, yeah, like it is just more the obvious, like the life is too short part. I guess a bit more now so. And just, yeah, just I keep, I guess, a tighter group of friends as well. Whereas I'm kind of like people in my group that I know that are there for me or that have been there for me. Especially, I guess, people that if I want to talk about something related to my stroke, they're there to listen. They're not just going to be like, oh, you're always talking about this and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I guess if you know me, I guess anyone's like this, right? And correct me if I'm wrong if you're not this way. But after such a big life event, it's always going to come up in even little conversations you have. You're always going to make some kind of reference to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a podcast about it. I don't
Yeah.
stop talking about it. I talk about it with everybody forever. There's 117 episodes with this one. So it does come up because there's sometimes at dinner, for example, I may not have an alcoholic drink or something, and people who
Yeah.
don't know me will ask, oh, why aren't you drinking?
Yeah.
And of course, you can give them the I just don't feel like it story or whatever. Or if they're the right person and you think that they might listen, you might say, because, look, I've had a brain injury and I can't drink because it makes me feel like I'm having another stroke again or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's how it comes up for me all the time. People notice how I'm different than them, and then they ask me, why am I different? And then I
And
give
then
them
it
an
brings up.
explanation.
But I guess it also educates people as well when you bring that up. But yeah, like the other day I had friends over and I am allowed to drink. I just have to kind of be careful how much I drink and just to space it out. But then my friends, like, they're always like, are you allowed to drink, if they don't know that I'm allowed? And then they, not in a nasty way either, like, why are you drinking? It's more like caring and understanding, like, are you allowed to? And then it does sort of start a bit more conversation as well.
Yeah, it comes in the same way to me. And I'm not trying to educate everybody all the time, but sometimes some
Yeah.
people, they don't mind listening to a little bit of my story if we go down that path, only if they allow me to go down that path. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't shove it down their
Yeah.
throats and say,
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
what I blah 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 blah. You know, if they know me because they've met me elsewhere and they know that I have a stroke podcast, then it's not a shock to them that I'm not drinking because I had the stroke years ago. Okay,
Yeah.
and they're not really going to have a conversation with me about all of the stroke related stuff. But somebody who doesn't know about my podcast, who asks at dinner, who is a friend of a friend, you know, we have a little conversation. If it doesn't go any further, it doesn't go any further. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm not there to educate them on stroke at a party. I'm there to have a party, but
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm like that. Like I won't sort of go further unless they ask more questions about it.
yeah.
And I guess so when I went back to work after, I had a lot of people coming up and asking me because obviously no one knew where I was, and things like that. And at that point, it was really fresh and I didn't really want to talk about it. So I just wrote a blog. Whereas now I'm kind of more, I get my story out there. If someone asks, I will tell them. But then because there's so much of my story, I won't just kind of spill it out. If you ask me sort of certain questions, then because I guess from my story, there's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stroke
Especially
is,
for someone new.
yeah, and stroke is a massive thing to digest for anybody because most
Yeah.
of them are like us. Most people are like us. Before we had a stroke, they had no idea what a stroke was.
Yeah, exactly.
So they, get stunned, and then some people don't want to deal with that kind of information at that point in time. So that's all good.
Yeah.
I know why you do it. It's the same reason why I do it. So look, I'm really pleased to have gotten the opportunity to chat with you and to meet you and to learn about your story. Thanks for sharing on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Discover how to heal your brain after stroke. Go to recoveryafterstroke.com. Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gassiamis. The content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.